What's going on, guys? My name's Jeff and we are back with another episode Behind the Glass. And in today's episode, I'm sorry, I just ate. But in today's episode, I'm going to be actually going over quite a serious topic. It's something that's not really talked about much in the fish keeping community. And it was one of the things that I had actually made a mistake on, where I lost almost 80% of my fish population. Initially, when I had this tank, I had about 15 or so different species in it. That included blue-sided fairy wrasse, royal grama, firefish goby, watchman goby. I had a whole bunch of different things in here. A mistake that I made after one of my water changes caused me to experience what I call the Great Deoxidation Event. If you know about the Earth's history, you'll know that 2.4 billion years ago, there was a Great Oxidation Event. Well, this is kind of the reverse of that, where I actually ended up suffocating all of my fish. I know that suffocating is kind of a weird word to use, but when you don't have enough oxygen in your water, that's pretty much what you're doing to your fish. And that's what I did to my fish at one point, actually. It's never fun to wake up and see most of your fish are now gone. Okay, this is gonna be a bit harder than I thought, but... So anyways, coming at it from a purely pragmatic point of view, I did a water change, and back when I initially did the water change, you see how this is funneling right here? Actually making the water move up top. Now, why is it so important that I'm explaining this to you right now? Well, because when I initially did my water change, when I first had this tank, I had it for about 5 months or so, and I was feeling confident in me taking care of it. So one day when I was doing a water change, I had actually put in the water a bit too high. I put it in about maybe above the black line right here. And what that did was that the difference in height between this and my wave maker made it so that there was no water funnel funneling water out of the air into the water. And similarly, I also had the exit funnel over here a lot lower initially, so that it would actually kind of like create a circular motion of water instead of doing what it's doing now. Now, after I had done the water change, I hadn't really thought too much about it, obviously as we do, but I quickly came to realize the following morning. It was pretty unusual because the first sign that things were awry was that my blue-sided fairy wrasse is up at the water, and he's like kind of skimming above the water and kind of like looking like he's sucking up air out of the water and everything. And I thought that was really suspicious, but it's work, I gotta go to work, it's the morning, I'm in a hurry, I just feed my fish and I go to work. And then by the time I come back from work, I realize what had happened, because I see immediately 4 of my fish are on the substrate, I can't think of the name, and the rest are just completely gone and disappeared. At first I didn't really know what happened. At first I just thought that, I don't know what I thought. You don't know what to think when you come home and most of your fish are bellies up, and so the first thing that I did, obviously, was I took out all the fish that I could find, and while doing it, I accidentally spooked my pistol shrimp, and my pistol shrimp was actually snacking on my firefish goby, so that was fun. After I said my farewells, at that point I had to think logically about it, because at this point all I have left are my clownfish, my damsel. The point that I'm trying to get across is that I had to really think, what went wrong? What went awry? At what point did something go awry in my tank? And logically, like anybody that would do, I first check my fish, not the fish levels, the chemical levels. I checked the chemical levels, the pH, nitrates, and ammonia. And they all came back fine. I thought about how tall the water was, and I thought about the fact that there's no surface movement on the water, and I thought about the fairy wrasse from this morning, and that's when it all clicked together. And I was like, oh shit, I suffocated my fish. To this day, still one of the most difficult things I had to face when I came home, and you come home to that. But there's 2 reasons why I'm telling you this story about my fish suffocating. The first one is that you always want to make sure like there's some sort of water break between the water and the air. Because what happens when you agitate the surface of the water is that the elements in the water and the elements in the air kind of mix and combine a little bit. So oxygen gets diffused into the water and other elements like nitrogen get diffused out of the water every time there's surface irritation on the top of the water. That's why ponds and lakes and oceans and everything on the actual outdoor environment, because there's always motion going on between the waves and the wind and fish jumping out of the water. There's always an exchange of elements out in the real world. But in a contained environment like the one that you got at home, you have to be the one that supplies that necessary life-giving element of oxygen into your water by agitating it. The second reason I'm telling you this is that if you ever see your fish are at the top of the water and it looks like they're literally trying to suck air out of the surface of the water, it is a huge red flag and you cannot ignore it. Try and as soon as you get out of work, go and buy something that agitates the surface of the water. Maybe you need a new filter. Maybe you need a bubbler or something that breaks the surface tension of your water so that your fish can breathe better. Because the more water surface that is being agitated and moving, the more oxygen and other good elements get pushed back into the water. So I can't stress how important it is for you to make sure that you don't have a dead surface. And some of the fish that in my outro of this video are some of the fish that I actually had ended up losing. I have some other pictures that I'll post up here on this video of all the fish that I used to have and how my tank used to look 2 years ago. And to this day, I still haven't really restocked my tank because of this right here. This guy is such a bully in my tank. I can't put anything else in my tank because of him, because he's such a bully. He'll just pick and kill anything that comes into the tank. The whole tank is his territory. And he was one of the last fish that I had put in there too, and he was one of the survivors. So I can't really find it in my heart to get rid of him, to get my tank back to the way that I wanted it. But I also want to restock my tank full of, Royal Grammas and Firefish gobies and a silverside wrasse. Or, any of these other fish. I'm rambling and I don't really want to keep your attention for too long. So if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like the video. And if you're interested in more stories, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And also put a comment down below if you've ever experienced this kind of deoxidation event, or if you've had any other kind of difficulties within your fish keeping journey. My name's Jeff, and it's been an absolute pleasure to share this with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.